Welcome to Functions. My name is Michael Ward, and I will be your instructor for this module. Lesson topics to include: number one, grouping. The grouping function, introduced in 4.1, amazingly powerful feature to dynamically group things and instantly see the results. Amazingly intuitive and easy to work with. You'll find it something that you use all the time. It saves you having to create complex if-then-else expressions to define and regroup things and save you a lot of time and effort. We'll talk about local filtering. A lot of people get confused by it, saying that we have filtering already available at the query panel level. But the fact of the matter is, I need also to be able to filter locally. I need to bring it down to the report tab level and filter on local blocks on each of my individual tabs. And those blocks can be both reports and charts, if necessary. Calculations. We need to be able to do the quick and dirties, the sum, the count, the average, and so on. Those are functions I want to apply to different columns and turn them on and off as quickly as I can and as easily as I can. The safe order to apply things. Yes, it makes a difference what order you apply all of the various functions. We've covered other functions on earlier modules. When you look at the combined set of all of those, it's very important that for certain functions, they're displayed in a particularly good order. The ones that matter most, of course, is the break command and calculations. Were I to do a sum on a column in a report without a break, and then put the break on later on, I'm going to have a problem in that I'm only going to have a grand total. So typically you want to do your breaks first, calculations last. Things like grouping, filtering, sorting, and so on are not going to be an issue. They automatically sort themselves out when you use them within a break. But we need to be careful with calculations and sorting to make sure, and our calculations as well for sums and counts and so on, that we do the breaks first and then apply the calculations later. And we'll have demos as well as part of this lesson topic. Let's start by looking at the sum function. Basically, it sums up a column. What type of column? Measures and only measures. There's also a count function. This is what you would use if you want to count a dimension column, something like a state or a city or a year. You would not want to invoke a sum on those columns. You might want to invoke a count. And count supports both count distinct and count all. By default, it does a count all. Average, a very common one to be used, especially in cross tables or pivot tables. You have a min function to return a minimum value within a break group, a maximum group as well, and there's also a percentage. Please make sure you take a good look at the percentage when you start working with Webby, because it provides some really excellent breakouts of your data in terms of the percentages, more than you would normally expect it to do. Sums can apply to numeric columns only. It creates totals or subtotals if it's at a break level within a document, and will automatically do all of these providing you did your break first and then your sums last. Count values are typically used for non-measures, although they could be used on a measure column, because you want to be able to get a count, a distinct, or a count all. And it acts as a count distinct by default, but can easily be converted to a count all, which would be covered in the module later on. Average is applied to numeric objects. It wouldn't make sense to average a state or a year or something like that, but it would make sense to do an average on something like sales revenue or quantity sold. It only displays the averages or the values displayed, and it dynamically changes those as the dimensions are added or removed, because the dimensions drive the structure of our report. Min and max can be used on any type of object, whether it's a dimension or a measure, and it will work correctly, so you have to think about what would be the best use of a min or max based on the particular column and what you're trying to pull out. And it does chronologically for dates as well. The min and max can be used on those. It does alphabetically for text, and for measures it does it numerically. Percentages, again, is used for measures only. It doesn't make sense to do a percentage on a dimension or even a detail object as well. And it creates a new column to the right of the column where the percentage is displayed, and it gives you a mixture of calculations as well. The safe order to apply things, number one, would be to do a rank first, although I will tell you a rank will reset itself if you throw a break in there. The break would normally be the very first thing you would always want to do, but if you happen to do the rank first and then the break, the rank will then be reorganized or re-ranked underneath the break. Sorting can be done at any point in time, although you'll typically do it after the breaks. It doesn't make a difference which order you do the sorting, but calculations, on the other hand, it's very important to make sure that you do your breaks first, calculations last. And now you need to download the exercise guide from the Course Materials tab for the next exercise and follow the instructions there. And that completes the module on functions.